Global Conservation Corps presents the Rhino Man podcast. I'm John Jerko, your host, and one of the directors of Rhino Man the movie. This podcast series is a way for me to interview top conservationists on the topics of rhinos, the poaching crisis, the importance of rangers, and community engagement, all as a way to create awareness around these issues and to promote the coming release of our documentary film. In this episode, I'm talking with Reginah Smith. Reggie is a ranger corporal in Pilanesberg National Park in Northwest Province, South Africa. She's an adjutant of the Pilanesberg Rhino Protection Unit. She's a participating member of Game Rangers Association of Africa, and she's studying law to become an advocate for rangers in the legal system. In this conversation, we talk about Reggie's unexpected path into becoming a ranger. We talk about her training at the Southern African Wildlife College by Ruben Kock and Mthembu, and the confidence and leadership skills they instilled in her. We go into the beauty of Pilanesberg National Park, the height of the rhino poaching crisis, the formation of the Rhino Protection Unit, and how she's overcome the challenges of leading a ranger unit as a woman. She remembers Anton Mzimba, and we discuss the lessons of loss. Reggie has a deep love for family, inspiring the youth, and advocating for her rangers. It was such a beautiful conversation. Before we jump in, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to and rate the show on your favorite podcast platform, and to share it on social media and with your friends. With your support, the Rhino Man podcast can grow. Now, without further ado, here is Reggie Smith. Hey, Reggie, welcome to the Rhino Man podcast. It's a real honor to have you on here, and just talking to you a little bit before the show, I'm super excited for this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John. I'm really honored to be in your show.
Yeah, why don't we start out with just a little bit around the Game Rangers Association of Africa, because that's how I got connected to you. I reached out to Luis and Andrew over there, and they said you would be an amazing person to speak to. And by the looks, you got their logo on your outfit there. So maybe talk a little about your involvement and why you think organizations like them are important for rangers.
Okay, first of all, let me just say I'm the proud member of the Game Ranger Association. You know, this, if there's anything, I'll say that is the best association for rangers, like all over. I got to know about the Game Ranger Association of Africa, I will say, when I started attending some trainings at the South African Wildlife College. I remember one of my training was sponsored by the Game Ranger Association of Africa. I did not know them at that time, but as now we get to understand that they're sponsoring rangers with certain things, especially with bursaries, and then raising funds for rangers there, you know, to get better in what they're doing. Then I joined the association together with other rangers. But this, I will say that it's one of the association whereby they allow you to be you, like it's home. That's your next home, where you feel as if not me being a ranger, you feel as though you are being trained like paramilitary style. So you have to be tough, but you get into the association, you are allowed to be you. You are being told that it's okay not to be okay. So that's close to my heart. The association itself is close to my heart, you know.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And, you know, getting to know Andrew and Luis and the whole team there and experience the African Ranger Congress this past year, it is such a great environment. And it's so amazing to see rangers coming together in a room and being able to be open with each other and express each other's challenges and try to work together to help rangers overall in Africa and even the greater world through the connection to like the IRF and other organizations. So yeah, it's an amazing group.
Yes, it is.
So let's dive into where are you at right now? Maybe we'll start there. You know, explain the national park that you work at and what that environment is like. I was doing a little research beforehand, and I haven't really gotten out of Kruger area, but there's so many beautiful places in South Africa, and this place looks amazing.
Okay, I'm based in one of the 14 game reserves that are administered by the Northwest Parks and Tourism Board. The game reserve is called Pilanesberg National Park. It's located in the north of Rustenburg in the Northwest Province of South Africa. It's a 55,000 hectare game reserve, very beautiful, a mountainous area, you know, the grasslands. I think it's set in an extinct volcanic crater with grassland, wooded valleys, and multitude like the rock formation and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a beautiful area.
Yeah, and it's pretty high elevation there too, I think. I was looking, it said 7,000 meters, which I always forget that like Johannesburg and that whole area is pretty high up. compared to the Lowveld and, Kruger National Park. So it's usually a little cooler. And I think one of the highlights I saw online too, people like to advertise that it's malaria free. So you guys don't get as many mosquitoes and things going on there, huh?
Yeah, no. You come in this side, you don't have to consult, going to your doctor, like malaria free area. So yeah, that's one thing good about it.
Yeah. What types of wildlife do you have there? You have all the big five and quite a diverse ecosystem.
Yes. As I said, Pilanesberg is one of the 14 game reserves administered by Northwest Parks Board. So it's one of the 4 rhino parks. It's one reserve together with the other one that have a big five. It's a big five area. Mm-hmm. We have all of those. So that's amazing. Challenging.
Do you have both black and white rhinos?
Yes, we do. Mm.
Yeah, I need to get up there and visit one of these days, because just looking at the pictures, it's interesting. I was reading about that volcano crater as well. It said about 13 million years ago is when they think it exploded. And is that whole area basically part of the crater? It must have been a giant volcano, right? Or is it a small mountain there?
No, it's not for the whole area, but it's a huge area. That's why maybe it's because of the mountains and stuff, the way that they are scattered. So that's where it happened. But I would like for you, when you visit Pilanesberg, don't visit as a guest or so forth. Come in, we give you boots, we give you pair of uniform, and then we get it. That's how you'll understand Pilanesberg. Your 4x4 biking, it will not be an exciting trip for you.
No, I always love going out with the Rangers. That's my favorite way to see a place. So that would be amazing. Before we get into the work you're doing now as a ranger, I think it'd be nice to kind of go through your story, because it sounds like you've worked at a lot of different places and you've worked your way up the ranks. So maybe you can give us a sense, especially for people outside of South Africa. Where did you grow up? What was that like? What was your childhood like? Were there any early connections to that desire to work in this field or be around nature? Give us a sense of what it was like in your youth.
Okay, Reginah was born in an area called Potchefstroom. Potchefstroom is also in the Northwest Province. It was previously called the city of expertise. I'm not sure if the people there, they think they know too much, but yes, we are out there. We are out there. So the city itself, or the place itself, it's a very busy place. It's more like your suburb and stuff. So I will be honest with you to say the issue of conservation and wildlife and stuff, I personally did not know nothing about. It wasn't even something that I dreamt of. So for me, the wildlife job, it was meant for other people, not for us, as we grew up. So my parents, both of them, they are late now, but they were blessed with 7 beautiful kids, which are 6 girls and 1 boy, me being the 4th one, meaning I'm the pillar, because there's 3 before me and 3 after me.
Right in the middle, huh?
Yeah, so I am the pillar. So the area itself, and looking at the way that my family my father was very protective. Having 6 queens in the house. So my father was very protective of us. But if there's one thing, like any other parents, he wished for us to have security, and that's what he provided. And the saying that you need to be raising your kids, and so as when they get partners outside, you will be like the example to say, I will not settle for what my father did not do to my mom. So with me, I think I was being the anchor. I was the chosen one, because my father was very overly protective with me, to say, I want you. If you were to get married, you must either get married to a soldier or a policeman, somebody who carries a firearm. So I was like, no, man, why can't I be that person? Why can't I be that person? Why do I have to search for someone who carries a gun? Yeah, it was a lovely childhood. I won't lie. I did not have a moment where I say we struggled a bit with this and that. It was just a normal family with their own challenges and stuff. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, he really wanted to protect you, huh? He needed a soldier to guard you.
Yeah, no, he wanted that. Hence I said, no, man, I can be that person. I don't have to go around. So I did, my schooling there in the area, your primary, your high school. And then after matric, yes, when other girls chose to do certain things, going to varsity by that time, I chose a career whereby it's like fashion designing. That was my passion. I grew up, liking nice things and stuff, but I never thought of, the ranger work. I knew nothing about that. I'll be honest with you. And then I remember the first year as I went out and then I collect the forms and stuff. My father filled in everything. He even paid for the registration fee. The day of me having to attend class, my father was like, no, I will not mess with my money to give you this money to go and do the job. You can somehow buy every cloth that you want and rip them because that's what you want to do. You want to buy a fabric and go and rip them. So I won't. So that's what it to say, how is this going to protect you? Me being your father, you choosing a job again whereby you will also need protection. Do something, be a soldier, go to the army, do this. And I was like, no, I want to do this. So yeah, that was it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that, So
interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I had to now be seen as a normal girl, having to register. I did your tourism management before I joined at the Northwest Parks Board. Did not finish that because of now, change of mind. This is not what I wanted. This is what my father wanted, being a normal girl, the protection or the security of you knowing that you have a career, not this one. What if it does not work? All those things. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's always a challenge. I mean, parents, I think, have the best intentions and they're looking out for you, but sometimes they push you in a direction you're like, no, I don't think this is for me. So it's always tough to navigate those things. I know even my parents, I'm doing filmmaking and stuff, and they're like, you're crazy. What are you doing? You can just have a normal job and start a family and all these things. So yeah, it's tough to navigate those pressures. So you kind of started off into some tourism management and then stepped back a bit. How did you decide to kind of change and go in this direction of what you're now as becoming have become a ranger? Was there something that you took that was interesting, or how did that kind of come about?
Okay, I'll say when I joined the Northwest Parks Board, it was in 2004, and then I joined that as a gate attendant. So gate attendant are those beautiful ladies that you will welcome you into Pilanesberg, give you information, you pay, that's what we want, you pay, and then you get inside the park. But then I think a year afterwards, my mom was then diagnosed with a heart problem issue. And then, me being in Rustenburg, because the post was in Rustenburg. And then that was, I think, a year or two after I joined this, as I was studying the tourism management still. I had to go back home. Going back home, there was no position of the gate attendant. So the positions that were advertised in that newly, it was actually a new reserve that was in Potchefstroom, going back home now. So I had to now settle for the positions that were there. And I was like, okay, the ranger position is in the same grade as the gate attendant. So I need to attend to that. And then I had to go home, even though I did not have to take care of my mom, but as a child being away from home, you're like, okay, I don't have kids of my own at that time. I had to go home. I don't want to be called at night to say she's not well. It was not sitting well with me. So I had to go home, and I think that was the best decision ever because I got to be with my mom. I got to do something that I never thought I would do, which is field ranging by that time. And I enjoyed it so much that I had to drop off this tourism management. I was like, okay, now I think this is what I need to do because I saw like the unity, man, amongst the rangers. It's amazing. And that's one thing I think it gave me comfort knowing that even though my mom is not well, but going to work, that was my way of saying, let me go and be with those that cares, the unity itself, the brother sisterhood. I think that's what made me then realize that maybe I need to go this route so as I can forever be with this kind of people. And yeah, that's where all this love of nature, having to understand from scratch what is it that they are doing, all those things started.
Yeah. So when you made that move back for your mother and you found this job, what was the initial job like? And what were those early days? Were you a little nervous, unsure, just trying to find something that would work? And then what clicked when you started to see like, oh, I love being out here, learning about wildlife. Like you said, that the camaraderie around the rangers, which is really special. When did that start to click for you?
I think for me, it was exciting. And then it was something new that, like any other child, if you are about to do something new, like you get excited, you think that you can do better than the rest and you can do this. Why didn't you try this method and stuff? So because, again, it was home, like we were home, the familiar faces, because rangers were recruited from the area itself. I think it was part of the awareness. Like I said before, we knew nothing about conservation. So the reserve itself, I think it was also there to make people aware that we have this kind of situation. Yes, it was hectic because you being alone there, trying to explain to other people that you grew up with, that we are not supposed to be killing birds. I mean, they're like, hello, that is a snack for us. So you telling us not to kill a bird, that we grew up together, going out, and then having to get that bird, that specific bird, and we eat it. So I think having to be around the familiar faces and the group itself, we were new in the field. No one was like the previous ranger. So we were all new in that area, and having to now from scratch, having to buy some books and, being able to say we starting from scratch. So reading and everything, I think that's what made me then realize that these things are real. They are very important. We need to be attending to such things. And as an exposure, our manager, who by then was very an experienced like conservationist, he gave us the platform by saying, for you to understand the ranger work, you need to start with kids. We had now to attend to kids in primary schools, in high schools. As the manager was like, for you guys, because you are new in this field, you need to be understanding why is it important, to protect the species, the importance of nature. So you need to be going out there and, emphasize this to the small ones, so as they can also be with you and understand, be on the same page with you to understand that we are not supposed to be doing certain things. So we had now to start with the new ones. I mean, the kids at primary, doing some activities for them to understand, because you have to now understand that the high school kids and the primary, they do not understand that the same language, but the way that you're conducting your environmental educations had to be different. With the small kids, you need to be doing games. You need to be, cutting pictures of lions, grass, meat, and then try to make them aware through games to say the lions will eat meat, they will not eat that. So I will be a lion, one ranger will be the grass. So, kids have to be something else. And then we will chase each other. But when you get to the high school now, that's where now they really understand. And that's where the problem starts, because we realize that in most cases, our incidents were actually starting when the schools are closing, and then, the kids from high school. So we had to go there now, literally having to emphasize, telling them the implications or the consequences of their actions and stuff. So yeah, it was very exciting. It was very exciting because everybody wanted to be better than somebody. But when we come back, having to put our books down, because they had to buy us lots of books, like your animals, your trees and stuff, because we knew nothing by that time. All I knew was how to deal with a customer. So it was very exciting.
Yeah, so this was pretty early on in your work that you got to interact with kids. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it's such a big part of what Global Conservation Corps is doing, the nonprofit that owns Rhino Man, and is putting this message out. Originally, it was more towards supporting the rangers, but then it's moved more towards the youth and education and creating experiences. So it's so great to see, because actually Anton Mzimba, who we're going to talk about a little bit later, he's the one that inspired this, and I feel like the rangers are the best advocates for connecting with communities, where they're from, and explaining the value in these protected areas. So it's really amazing to see that you were doing that work so early.
Yeah, no, that's, talking about Anton, it's one issue. I mean, may his soul continue to rest in peace. I personally know Anton on a very, I'll say, a dramatic way, because Anton was a very, down to earth somebody. I mean, he was that guy whom, when you want to talk to, you must actually know your story. But those who know me, they will tell you that I am loud. I am the radio station myself. So we met, I think it was in 2011, I believe so, when Anton was in a group that was doing the advanced course. And then we were doing the higher certificate in conservation. So I was with the other guys from Timbavati as well. So there were at times like during our breaks, go to Anton as one of the members, and then we will be, in groups. But he was that guy, with my dramatic actions, dramatic way, my loudness and stuff, he will be that guy. You can see that, he so wish that I wish this girl can just, do all this drama on me. I'll show her where to get off. but he never did. He was, he was always very quiet. Even when I greet him, he will be, very quiet and humble, as always. So he was a very dignified somebody. He was very disciplined in a matter that a character like that, you automatically switch when you are around Anton. You actually want to be like him. You see discipline, you see dedication, you see determination in him. So I would say I may not have been that close with Anton, but the minute that I found out what happened to Anton, it really crushed me. I thought of the things that happened. I was like, no ways, man. That was a one disciplined member, in the ranger sector. So if we're losing guys like this, for certain things, the way that he had to, leave us, it was not a pleasant one at all.
Yeah, it's such a tragedy and very heartbreaking for all of us that knew him. It's funny the way you speak about him, because he was very soft-spoken, humble, but gained your respect very quickly. And I feel like he just had such a great sense of how people worked. He could kind of see you and understand the situation, and that's why he didn't have to say anything, or he would very softly push you in the right direction if he needed to. But such an amazing human. It's great to hear stories about him and your interactions with him. So maybe to that, talking about the Southern African Wildlife College, it sounds like you'd done quite a bit of training there. Do you remember your first time training at the college and what that was like? And maybe we can talk a little bit about Ruben de Kock and Martin Mthembu and your experience with them too.
Oh yeah, the South African Wildlife College. I'll say, that's, for me, that's my university. When it comes to conservation, I think I've learned, if not 90%, they built me. I think the first time that I went to the South African Wildlife College was in 2007. I went there when we were doing the natural resource protection course. It was a short course. I think it lasted for 2 weeks or so. I went out there with other management. I was the only ranger. I am not sure how I got into that team, but I did, thank God. It was a powerful team. Rangers from, across the world. We met there, and it was an experience. By that time, we were only 2 ladies amongst, I think it was a group of 12, and we were only 2 ladies with the other lady, Annette. I think the lady was from Mozambique, and we did well. Our mentor, Solashe, our lecturer was Ruben de Kock. That's someone that, if you get anything from that man, that you are set for life because of the way that he conducts himself and the way that he conducts his sessions. He will never treat you like a lady. He will never treat you like a female ranger or a male ranger. Like, we were all rangers. The things that men can do, he believed like ladies can do as well. And he will not, compromise to say, no, a lady must just do certain things and a guy will do certain things. Like, with him, if you can't do it, then you're not competent. That's it. I mean, he was that guy. And then I had to, again, go back to Sawik when we were doing an armed training. I think that was for 6 weeks. It was hectic. I think that's where Mr. Mthembu now got in. I think it was 2009, if I'm not mistaken. We were sent there as rangers again. They were like the Timbavati Rangers, the Kruger Rangers, like that side. But we had to go there again as the Northwest Parks Board Rangers. It was a hectic one. There were no compromise as well on that one. Whether you wake up, being a lady, on your second day, you feel like, I need to fake a pain somewhere. Mike Mthembu and the rest, they will never settle for that, and they were in and out. There were some other guys around that were also training. You will also want to do that. When you're a ranger or anywhere else, when you're on training, you will want to get that soft instructor, the one that you can always fake all your pains on to say, my ankle, this and that. But with Mike Mthembu, that when he comes in, that pain goes out. Like, literally just vanishes. Because if he can realize that you are in pain, he will say, you got that pain because of the training that I gave to you. So it means you must do more training so as that pain can vanish. So you will have to now be back on track. So that's how, they put us together, and the teamwork itself, having to understand the importance of having each other's back. That was it. One ranger is lacking, the rest will have to get punishment. And we now, after hours, after everything, we will all be in that ranger's head to say, if you do that tomorrow, we are going to be the one that kick you now. It will not be the instructor, because we said we are going to do 15 push-ups. You did not do 15 push-ups, you did 10 push-ups, and you thought he was not looking at you. So tomorrow, if you don't do 15. So they taught us actually to say, you have to look out to each other, guys, because when it comes to training, when one is lacking and you guys are excelling, there will be a time in the field where now things are bad and you did not learn, to be together. The one that is lacking will always be a problem, because you will always have to wait for that one person. So you must be a group, you must be a team. You don't leave anyone behind.
Yeah, so important. And do you have any other stories around Martin? Because I never got to meet him, but just, my friend Matt and then Ruben, who is such a close friend of his, they've told me some amazing stories. But can you talk a little bit more to who he was as a man, an instructor, and just some of your experiences with him?
With Mr. Mthembu, it was, for me personally, like Mr. Kock, those were the people that they are not easy. They are approachable, yes, but you must know your story when you go there. So, like I was saying, with my character, I have to think twice before I can even approach those kind of people or just speak to them. But those are the people that you will know for the fact that, they got your back. They got your back. When it comes to you seeking clarity on something, those are your guys. No matter if, during training, they're shouting at you, they're doing all those things. But those were the guys that you will understand that, if, even after class, even after every session, you go there, pouring out. It might not be training challenges, but it's you being you saying, I have this kind of a challenge that I can't deal with. Those were the people that that you can rely on. They will advise you the way, from the bottom of their hearts. Yes. So Mike Mthembu, I don't personally know him from many trainings and stuff. I think that was the one training that I attended, the one of the unarmed training, because the advanced one we did at another section. And I think that the one time that I also went to South African Wildlife College was when I was doing this higher certificate in conservation implementation and leadership. That was in 2011, same year when I met Anton. Yeah, so that's amazing. That's amazing. And I had to go back. I had to go back again. I was doing the PASOP. The PASOP is a course. They say it's a protected area security operations plan. Mr. Kock was also the lecturer for that one. And also on that one, every time when I attend trainings, I'm like, I am not sure who told them that I want to attend trainings with males only, because by that time I was the only lady, I think, amongst 9 guys, and senior ones as well. But I was very impressed, even with the activities, the challenges that we were given. Mr. Kock himself was very impressed to say, I don't treat myself as a woman. Yes, I am a woman. I can't shy away from that. But the way that you present yourself, the way that you argue during the whatever debate or discussions that were on the table, I think that's what made me the ranger that I am, because I was always surrounded by men in every training, in every workshop, and I had to also get a stand to say, my part. So I believe for me it's a bonus.
Yeah, it's great to hear the support that you got from Ruben and Martin in terms of the training and the way they treated men and women equally across that. But I'm curious, through this whole process of becoming a ranger and doing the work, did you face any pushback or challenges as a woman from, either your family or community or other rangers or other students? What was that like, or was it pretty supportive overall for you?
Well, when it comes to my family, the support was 100%. I never had a moment whereby they will tell me, you're not supposed to be doing this. And remember from our first session in the interview, I said my father wanted me to get married to someone who holds a gun. So in this case, I was actually fulfilling my father's dream to say, you're a ranger now, you're a ranger. So I'm set with you, my child. I am set. You are holding a firearm. It's okay. Hence I said, can't I be that person who holds a firearm instead of me looking for a man who holds a firearm? So in a way, it was me giving back to him, not knowing that I'll end up in this environment. But yeah, from home, the support was, 100%. When I was still a ranger, just a junior ranger, the support was also the same. I think the challenge started when I was appointed as the corporal. That's when now, being a woman, having to lead men, that's where the challenges started now. I had to toughen up, like I had to behave certain way for people to understand that, I deserve to be here. I know what I'm doing. So I believe the other challenge was that with me coming from the tourism side of point of view, from the gate attendant, having to join the field ranger sector, and then hardly 3 years time, then I'm appointed as the corporal. At first, I thought maybe it did not sit well with those that came before me, but I was like, yes, if the dedication is there, if the passion is there, I mean, I can't help it. I can't help it. And what was disappointing with me is that the support that I got was from men than women. But then I got to realize to say, okay, maybe the point was that because when I was called, and I will say I did not apply for the corporal position, I was headhunted. I think it was due to my character. It was because of, the way that, I was as a woman. I never, saw myself at work as a woman who cannot do certain things that men are doing. So I think the way that I presented myself when it comes to the job that I'm doing, I became the best candidate. I was headhunted and I had to now relocate from Potchefstroom, now back to Pilanesberg as a corporal. And I believe the challenge was that, the ladies by that time, that was in 2012, the ladies by that time, I think they were told by men that women can only do up to this level. They cannot exceed certain levels. And then I come in here as a woman who will now be here having to supervise these men and women. It was very challenging. I had to work twice to prove that I can do this. So at the end of the day, yes, I would say I managed, because the point was not for me to come and prove that I can do better than other men or other women, but being the supervisor, knowing exactly, what I do. So I left Pilanesberg as a gate attendant. I come back to Pilanesberg as a ranger corporal. And in a short space of time, I allowed myself to be out there, to leave my family for, I think the higher certificate, it was up to November. So it's more of 11 months out. So I went out there, I did well. And then I came back. As I came back, plus my character, I think that's what made me, or management to see that, this is a capable person.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious, do you have any advice for people coming into similar leadership roles where maybe the people under them at first aren't really respecting them, or questioning their validity of their position? What did you do to get people to come together under that leadership? Was it, leading by example? Was it, doing all this work and training and showing that, you're in it and you're understanding it? Just, what kind of advice could you give to other leaders in that position?
Okay, what I did when I actually got into that situation, the first thing is just to observe, because people will be, not being comfortable with you being around. Maybe it's because of the way that you're conducting yourself, or maybe it's because of you want people to feel you. That's one thing that people do. So if ladies are saying that, we were told that we cannot do certain things, so why do you have to come here and then you want us to do things? And I'll make a perfect example to say, if there's a call out there and they say, okay, there's a hole in the fence. And normally when I arrived here, what I observed was that only men will climb in that bakkie, take their rifles, and go and attend to the situation. And ladies will be told that when we come back, you will have to do administration. We will tell you what we saw, and then you will have to jot that down on the occurrence book. And I was like, no. Yeah, no, if women were supposed to then do administration and only the men will go there. So for me, it was something that was not okay to say. I think, ladies, these are the things that you you are allowing, and they will not stop. When they say that there's an incident, we all go there. Unless if we are a team of two, then some will go there, but not only male that side, females this side. So you have to step in. So I think they were not happy with me having to come up with new rules, of them having to do certain things, because they were used to, being left behind, and then they will deal with whatever the male rangers tell them. And I was like, now how do you know that is a true reflection of what happened? So you put in your handwriting in that book, you put in your signature in that book by something that someone has told you that it happened. So that's not how we do things. And I still remember that there was a time when we had to start conducting extended foot patrols. So we were like moving from one point of the reserve to the other. So you will spend plus minus 3 to 4 nights in the bush, no shelter, nothing. When it's get dark a bit, you just have to find the nearest mountain to sleep on. The next day you'll have to go. And the women were saying to my face to say, we are not going to do that. We are not going to do it. And I was like, okay, the solution, because I wanted a team. I wanted a united team. I wanted them not just to accept me as their leader, but I wanted, the team itself to have faith in me. Then I had to actually everything, every activity that they were told that women cannot do. I had to be part of each and every activity that was conducted by men. I had to be amongst men as well. I had to go out there 3 nights, 4 nights with this group of men, coming back, smelling differently, as if you are a different animal from whatever country I know. But I had to actually show them. And it was only by conducting these operations to show them that you guys, you go out there, you'll come back safe. Yes, the environment, it might not be the one that you wished for. It's like, compromising, inconvenience or so forth. But you go out there, you do exactly what you are employed to do, you come back, just adjust to changes. And I'm proud of those group of ladies today to say, those are the ladies that even when things are not going well, in the field, I can simply point at anyone and say, go and do that, because I was there not just as their corporal, but I was there again as a lady to say, we cannot be allowing this. The next thing, you will be sitting in a management meeting or a workshop and saying, men are the only ones that are being recognized for these high positions. We are not doing this. How are we expected to be seen or to be heard if we are not taking a stand? So I think that worked also, with these women and stuff. And I've never changed. I've never changed. I always say to them, you must not come to me and start acting like a victim. And for the fact that you are a woman, I'm a woman. If you are not doing things right, I will still take this man and put them on top, because I will not compromise. This is about capabilities. The Rangers in your field is about capabilities. If you're not willing to go out there, pour your heart out, sell your soul for certain things, compromise public holidays, compromise being with family members, then you are not here wholeheartedly. We understand that we have families. At times I'll go home, being the corporal, I'm used to giving out orders. And at times when I look at my husband, we're talking, I somehow the command. And he will be saying to me, I am not one of your own. Please, sisters, come back. I am your husband. And, it's that kind of and that the environment, like for you to understand nature, for you to love your job, you actually have to create a certain blanket that you're wearing every time, because I cannot be going around talking about poaching, do not do this and do that. But when I knock off, I become a totally different person. So that's one thing, about the ranger character, to say, what you're doing at work, you're taking it with you. My daughter was saying the other day that, Mama, you will end up being a hobo, because every time when we are with family members, they throw in papers. You always bring the black plastic bag and, collecting those cans and whatever thing. When other women are relaxing, you always picking up litter and do this. So people are looking at you like a hobo. It's like, I gotta be a hobo for the environment. I gotta being a hobo for taverns and pubs. I rather be a hobo like this, my child. It's fine, because I cannot be letting things happen here when I'm home, but when I go to work, I want to preach. So if I were to take pictures around the area, when I say to people that I'm from home, we're having a party, and the picture at the back, there are lots of cans, there are lots of this. So how do I then present myself, to those that understand the job that I'm doing? So you rather have to stoop low for certain things. So as people can understand that this is not acceptable. And the minute that they see you picking up those litters when they are relaxing, it's some sort of an awareness. They will never do that again when you're around. You will always be reminded. When they see you coming to that family gathering, they will always remember, Mrs. Plastic is here. So they will pick up themselves now when we enter the yard. So that's how things are done. You actually have to do things for people to understand. So even with ranger work, the ladies, especially us that are in leadership, do things well so as the others can understand. Don't even tell them. Your actions will say it all. They will follow.
Yeah, it's so important to get across because, you are advocating as a ranger, no matter whether you want to or not. When you're in the community, you're kind of showing your true beliefs, and that's the kind of pressure people need. It's kind of goes back to that teaching by example. You're setting the example, and people at first might not even realize that, when it comes to like littering, like you're talking about, that there's even an issue there that just becomes habit, and then all of a sudden they kind of feel bad doing it around themselves, and then maybe eventually they kind of see the value in it and start doing it themselves without that pressure. So yeah, it's really, really well put. And going back to when you were talking about, basically same thing, showing the women on the team the kind of work ethic you were wanting out of them by doing the work yourself. Did you see a shift from, at first maybe being resistant to, once they started doing it, feeling like, oh, wait, this, now we're even a stronger team because we're taking ownership of this part of it? I don't know if there was a transformation that happened at a certain point.
There was a huge one. There was a huge transformation because, to a point by they will rather go to the bush themselves, leave the men behind. If there's an operation that they are expected to be out there for 2 nights, 3 nights, and then men are not around, maybe due to some, commitments, family commitments and stuff, and the man who was supposed to go with them is not around, all women, like 3 women will go out and conduct the same operation and come back, being out there. So there was a huge transformation. And then even at work, things started to be okay. Yes, there are lots of challenges, especially you will never be confirmed. Like one morning, one will wake up with his or her own moods. With women also, it was something like that. So they took initiative of so many things. There was like lots of plan Bs. Because now what I did was that if I'm not around, if I were to go home for some time off, I will appoint another woman to be the second in charge. And then I will rotate them like that. Even when I'm around, I will make a sort of a duty roster to say, for this coming 2 weeks, you are the leader. And I will like put in men as well to say, so as I will make them, more responsible, be accountable of certain things. At times I'll be around, and I'll say, I am not driving this buggy. You will be driving. You are the team leader for this week. I'm just a ranger. Treat me the way that you will treat, your subordinates. Like I allowed them to lead me. I allowed them to be my leaders as well. Even though I know that at the end of the day, I'm the one who must take ownership of everything. But I think by giving them a chance as well, it gave them courage to say, we can also do this, even though they at times say, yes, we can do this when you are around, but we are not ready yet to take this huge step of taking this job on a permanent base. But I'm telling you, they are very capable. We still have lots of, women that we need to attend to in the organization. But I think being given a chance, they will do wonders. And they're looking at you now as the corporal, going out there, not knowing what's bothering you, because we're also human. Hey, we're having our own challenges. We're having our own, we are being trained not to, I'm not sure, should I say not cry or not to crack? But we get home and we crack, we cry, we get weak, in front of our spouses, we get weak in front of our kids because of all the challenges that we get from work. But when you wake up in the morning, you still have, to be that tough girl. You need to be, that tough corporal that gives out command and execute things as they're supposed to. It's not easy though. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. And yeah, I love the way you described that. And I think the way your leadership style just tends towards growth for the other people on the team. And I think, when people see that they're able to grow and kind of rise up through the ranks over time, then it becomes more of a career than just a dead end job or something like that too. So yeah, it's really interesting. And yeah, I love, it's, we're all humans and have to deal with these emotions, but it's, the challenges of being a leader and what you can show and can't show at certain times. It's really interesting. Maybe kind of connected to this is, what kind of challenges have you had over the years from a ranger's perspective, and maybe even, I don't know a whole lot about that area and what types of pressures they felt during this whole rhino poaching crisis. Maybe you can talk about that a bit. But, what were some of the biggest challenges over the last 5, 10, 15 years for you as a ranger?
Okay, from 2012, up to 2016, in terms of rhino poaching, things were a bit bad. But in 2015, I still remember towards the end of 2015, the unit that I'm actually at, we call it the Rhino Protection Unit. It's a unit that was taken from rangers in Pilanesberg. So we're forming this team from rangers. I think things were bad. Like rhino were being poached left, right, and center. And, some management, Mr. Steven Dell, who is my commander at this point in time, he's also the park ecologist. Somebody had to stand up and say, guys, we cannot let things happen like this. And we are here. We are here. Well, we are being guided and, by the policy of the organization to say a ranger will have to work from this time to that time. And yes, it's a comfort, that you get in, you knock off, you go. Some stays inside the park, some stays outside. But, Mr. Steven Dell had to stand up and say, guys, I'm the park ecologist. Security thing, they are not mine as per conservation, but we cannot just look our rhinos falling like this. What is it that we can do? I need rangers that can raise their hand to say, we are going to do this. We are willing to go out there with no extra pay from what we're getting. We're going to do this. We're going to work extreme hours. We're going to work extreme operations. We're going to just to go all out in the sense of protecting these rhinos and other wildlife species. So, well, other rangers did not raise their hands, others raised their hands, but the wish was for everyone actually to raise their hand to say, let us just be a unit. So the unit was formed by 30 members from the ranger sector, hence others did not raise their hand. But it has been amazing. I'll say the team itself, we did very well. I remember that I did not raise my hand to make a record straight. I did not raise my hand because at that time I was pregnant. And then I was like, okay, I am going to delay the process. I mean, I cannot be expecting this team to wait for me. And then I was approached in that condition to say, no, we want you in this team. I said, but I did not raise my hand. So why? I mean, others were there. They looked at me like I said, no, I am not ready. I have to wait, man. I'm carrying a gold with me. I cannot be just, running around. So they said, no, we know that you will do this. And I was specifically, taken into this team because they said to me, your character is that of, the skid scope and donor character. So we want somebody who will enforce discipline in this unit. And you are that person. So I said, okay, in my condition, am I welcome? They said, yes, you are welcome. Then I joined the unit in that same condition. I went home. I gave birth to a handsome baby boy. I came back. The love was still there. And I continued with it. And then, with what I'm doing now, coordinating operations, making sure that they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, still enforcing discipline, working from the office though, but it's actually more challenging than having to be in the field every day because now here you're fighting for the betterment of rangers. You're fighting for these rangers to actually get proper equipment, the mental health. You still have to attend to it. One was saying to me, I mean, how do you cope with this thing? I said, there's one thing that people do not understand with women in leadership. Like, we are powerful. We are powerful. We might not be masculine like men, taking up 25 kg of whatever thing in both hands, but we are powerful. We bring change. We make amazing mentors. We are educators. I get to a point whereby my male rangers or my rangers in general in this unit, they will bring in their own personal, challenges, and I will take a chance out of my own spare time go and visit their families and make the women understand that it is not that this man does not want to come home. I am the one who drafted this roster. There was an emergency. He had to come home. I'm in that section whereby, the position whereby I would have to take a call and, call whoever's partner to say, your partner is here and apparently there's a situation. So you go beyond what you are expected to do. So as this ranger can be set at work, and also when they go home, they are also, at peace with their partner or at peace with their parents as well. So that's where this whole thing is coming from, to say, women have a different touch. Men also have their own different touch. Even theirs, it's a bit hard, but we are those kind of special leaders that are very approachable, that have empathy. We put ourselves in everyone's shoes, no matter how hard I would like to be. They know if I say don't come to me, it's don't come to me. And if I say I need you in the office, they'll be asking themselves around to say, what is it that we did? So when they get into the office with a different story, I become that mom, I become that sister, I become that mentor to say, no, we are here, we are a team. But when it comes to work-related matters, you mess up, I will deal with you. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that, as I've come into this world, I just realized the work of a ranger really never ends, especially in times of crisis, like with this poaching crisis. You always have to be ready to be on call, and even like you're saying, in your position, being able to take that extra time to visit rangers' families and help explain the situation, and building that trust and relationship, because I'm sure on a certain level, making sure that these families of these rangers are taken care of and understand the situation, that actually plays into that trust that in the long run probably defends them from some of these potential corruption and threats from syndicates. And if your family's strong, then it's hard for someone to come in and twist your arm and make you do something that you might regret later on. So yeah, it's really amazing that you're able to spend that time and mentor the people in your team.
Yeah, that's it. You're looking at other challenges, being here, not just as a woman, but being a ranger. I believe people do understand that you grow as a person. You get into the sector, maybe you the age of 20, age of 21 or so forth. You get there. Yes, you sign a contract to say, I'll be here, I'll work extra hours, I'll be this and that. But you grow as a person, you become a father, you have your other responsibilities, like the self-growth. You start to study, you do certain things. And by that doing, you want to grow again as a person. So there are lots of things, again, that's either blocking, or I'll say making us as rangers not to actually go all out, because the issue of equity as well, still needs to be attended to say, if I'm a woman and there's a man here and we're doing the same thing, why do I have to work as twice as this man to be seen that I can go to that higher position? When it comes to salary, yes, we are equal when we are down here, but when we go up there, why am I supposed to be in a certain position that does not pay as much as men will get? The diversity part of it, like we are not the same. We might be here, the goal is one, but you have your own character, I have my own character. We're from different families, we're from different cultures. We also need to respect that. I think the challenge also starts there, to say we need to actually to complement each other. We need to acknowledge that, yes, age-wise, I might be here and supervising a man who is like 15 years older than me, but I need to understand to say, when we are at work, I am the corporal, but after work, I need to be respecting this man as the older a man or older brother, to say he has his own responsibilities that he's, dealing with. Me as the younger one, I need to be adjusting to certain things. But yeah, I think we need to be complementing each other. The other thing, again, I spoke about the personal growth. So one will, as you go out as a corporal, there are lots of challenges, or any other leader, there are lots of challenges, and you sit down, you're like, okay, I need to be improving in order for me to can actually attend to certain things. And yes, whether anyone likes it or not, the political interference in all this, it's killing us, especially the lower ones. I am not sure about the executive and whatever. They will say their part when you give them the opportunity one day, I hope. But from the ground, the lower ground, having to understand that this certain things need to happen, and you are being told that, this and that cannot happen because of political interference. You being the person, you self-growth and everything, you've been in the industry for so many years, and you're like saying, but guys, due to capabilities and the experiences and all the training that you have provided, I mean, I deserve to be somewhere, and something is blocking because of, why you, why not this one, this and that. It's an issue with the political appointments as well in the executives. I mean, it's an issue. You come in for 5 years or so forth, you do your job, what you're supposed to be doing. But the decisions at times, they make us suffer from the ground, like we suffer. Certain things need to happen, cannot happen because of, somebody who is not well informed about the environment that we're living in has to make a decision, and we are the one that has to deal with it. So it's very frustrating. I don't know how many times I've written resignation letters, if not 3-4 times in the last 6 years. But every time when I have to submit that resignation letter, all I can think of are the rangers that are looking up on me, and the face that I'm okay, the face that I am strong, and not knowing that I am so tired of being strong, because there are certain things that you cannot tell your junior staff, your frustrations and stuff, because the minute that you do that, they are being demoralized. And that's one thing that we don't want. But certain decisions are killing us. They're killing us. You end up having a group of rangers or a group of leaders that says, whatever happens, happens. I will wait for payday. I am done. I am done fighting. I'm done questioning. I'm done doing this. Because the minute that you do that, it's like you are being seen as someone who is problematic. You are full of drama. You are doing this and that. And yeah, that's a challenge.
Yeah, such a tough challenge. And I want to dive into a little bit more of your thoughts on that and some of the things you're working towards doing to help advocate for rangers. But just kind of sticking to the rhino poaching thing just for a little bit longer, I'm just curious, we were talking a little bit earlier of creating this Rhino Protection Unit. Can you talk about some of the things that you did that really helped that situation in your specific case? What types of things did you do as a team that protected you from poaching and helped protect the wildlife on your reserve?
Oh yes, as I was talking about the unit itself, the Rhino Protection Unit team, we are dedicated. I'll put myself in that say we. So we are very dedicated. We are very disciplined, and I think the team itself, members of the unit themselves, like they took it upon themselves, because remember they volunteered to form this team that is not going to give them any extra cash on top of what they're earning. With the help, again, we're having the Pilanesberg Wildlife Trust. This is a trust that actually helped us a lot. Became responsible now to say, guys, take this initiative. We are going to supply uniforms. So it's a different uniform, the one that you saw me wearing, the camouflage one. We supporting you via training. So we're receiving training as well from the PPA, the Poaching Prevention Academy. That's an academy from the Italy, the Copenhagen Zoo as well. They help a lot when it comes to training, and other members like around, in support of saying, you guys must do this. But I mean, it's a good thing, the equipment and stuff. So I believe from there on, the rangers, the team itself now felt the warmth to say, we can carry on. Now we are set, we are sorted, because you cannot, you just have to first put the rangers' mind at ease to say, guys, I am with you, guys, I'll support you. So as when they go out there, they know that whatever happens, you got their back. There's no point in you having to buy expensive gadgets for rangers, expensive equipment and everything, leather boots that cost 5,000 rand each, if that's the case. And your rangers are not motivated because they're not going to do anything. They're not going to do anything. All that they're going to do is to take pictures and put them on Facebook, showing everybody that they got the new uniform, their new torch, like the expensive watch, but they are not motivated. So with the level of poaching that was in previous years, they did wonders. And I'm proud to say 2022, Pilanesberg have a 0 poached rhino. Like we have nothing, like zilch.
It's amazing.
It was not easy. Yes, it was not easy through all those years since 2016, like till today. we're not backing down. Like we don't relax. I mean, that's it. We're having a tough commander, two commanders, Hendrik Ncheche and Mr. Steven Dell. We're having tough commanders. We're always out there. Like we expected to, to always keep the standard. Yes, at times you get mad at them. You want them at this time, they're not around, but they are a team that you can rely on. And I will forever be grateful, to get such people. At the later stages, the company saw it fit that they need to actually put in an extra cash, as an allowance to give them the spirit of, acknowledging them to say, you guys are doing a great job. And I strongly believe that even if that allowance did not come through, the guys were still gonna, do better and do good as they're doing at this point in time. But I will forever, be grateful, because for me to be seen by the Game Ranger Association of Africa, for me to be seen by any member who has interviewed me, it's because of these guys. Yes, my face can all be, be out there in the news, wherever. But if these guys were not around, I don't think I was going to have anything to say. So I will forever be grateful for having them on my side. Me sitting here, having to expect them to go out there and give me true information, like the reflection of what happened. And that's what they do. I will forever be grateful, honestly speaking. That's why I said, every time when I have to resign, I think of these guys. I think 2020, 2021, I had to let go of two of our rangers from the unit. Great, amazing, rangers. But for me, it was like, it was good, moving from one conservation area to the other, and with a better grade, better rank, and so forth. So I'm very proud. I'm very proud of those guys. It's amazing. It's amazing, to be seeing one of your own growing in a different province. If there's one thing that made me to support them in this initiative or whatever decision that they took, was that the mission is still one. Objective is still one. It's towards conservation. Whether you move from South Africa to Kenya, but if you get there still speaking the same language, we can share, which is good. Also to say, this side we're doing this, and then we did not do that in Northwest Parks Board, or this side we are not doing what we're doing. So we're like, okay, let's share. I mean, that's what the Game Ranger Association of Africa comes in to say. Today, I'm not sure how many friends from different countries that I have, people that I've never seen, but we're talking on video calls, we're talking, those are the people that I still consult with. They are normal rangers like me, but when I'm frustrated, I'm like, I can't be telling my rangers about my frustrations, but I need to search for that specific ranger to say, hey, brother, are you available? Sister, are you available? I can't cope. At times I will cry, I will move from home, come to the office where it's a bit quiet around 8 o'clock at night, and someone in another country, she's sleeping already. My time does not correspond with their time, but they will wake up. They will wake up and say, calm down. We will have those sessions. And I think that's what's keeping me going. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so great that there's that community and that support overall. And I think it is important, like you're saying, it's tough to let someone that's so good go, but at the same time, you're proud, and it's so great that there's a pathway for people to grow within the ranger community as well, because I think that's really important for that long-term motivation and desire to work as a team and do this. I'm curious, kind of connected to the Rhino Protection Unit, were you also still doing a lot of that community work with the youth? And how important is it to have the local communities around these protected areas on board in terms of why these areas are being protected and benefit that they can get from it and things like that, in terms of keeping the poaching down to a minimum?
I still am. And I'm grateful because now there's recently a group that has been formed. It's a ranger group. Like they've taken, I think, 2 from each reserve. So they are being trained to be going out there as well, doing environmental educations and stuff. And, I was honored to be called as a ranger who has been out there to come and mentor them, making them understand what is it that they need to do, how can they prepare going out there. So it's something positive to say now I will not be the only one. I will know that we have many Reggies out there. I'm also doing the primary schools. They will literally call me privately and say, we have a session. Can you come and talk to kids? Sometimes I'll be on leave or sometimes I'll be on time off. I'll just have to call my commander and say, my leader, I'm on time off. can I please use your uniform to go and conduct this session, because I can't go there with my jeans and whatever. I want them to know who they're talking to. And he will always be supportive of everything, to say, yes, it's fine. You can even come park your car and take the company car. So it shows that you are actually doing this not only for you privately, but for the company as well. So I am like currently also being invited at some of the orbit colleges. We have around the Mankwe campus, whereby it's more of a tourism college, but it's also important when these kids are around and they're having sessions with tourism, members, especially when they're doing their career stuff. I always go there. I always do demonstrations. I will take them as student, to form part in some of my demonstrations, educating them, making them understand that tourism and conservation, they'll go a long way. Some will want to change course right there and there because of my presentation, but I always say, do not. Just stick to what you're doing. Know that conservation and tourism, there's no way that you can separate the two. And what attests to that is that even though tourism is all about money, the economy and stuff, but you look at our South African notes, there's always an animal in that. So it shows clearly that conservation and tourism, which is money, they will never separate from each other. So whether you're doing tourism, whether you're doing conservation, you're on the right track in terms of the environment and conservation and stuff. So I am more supportive of going out there, preaching this whole thing, because it's only when you go out there that, the new generation can actually understand what is it that is expected out of, their attitude, the consequences of their actions, how do they affect the environment and stuff. And you teach them, from the early age, you teach them not to kill, starting from an ant. You make an example to say, if that ant is a woman and it went out there to look for, food for its kids, and you kill it while it was on its way, how would you feel if your mom went to work and there's an accident, your mom died when you are expecting to see your mom? And you will see the faces of these small kids, being worried to say, I will not be happy. That's the same thing with an ant. Treat it as such. If you can't keep it away, if you can't, if it's not on your way, don't step on it. If you have an alternative of going somewhere, just leave everything as it is. So with kids, it's always about, examples that will hit them hard in their heart, so that when they preach this, they will say exactly what you said to other kids, making the same example. Is that, my wish is actually to adopt, which I'm working on. I want to adopt a school that I will work with, having to start with it from scratch. Creating my own conservation ambassadors out of that, and see where it's going. That's my passion. I think, that's that time of not running around, but going back to the roots and says, this is where I need to start. The older ones, they know, they can Google. If they do things, it's because of they know. When they're over 18, not a problem. They will go to jail. But these ones, I need to protect these ones.
Yeah, it's amazing work you're doing. And it's so amazing when you can instill that respect for wildlife and nature in young kids, and yeah, how it spreads. And, even I think a lot of people talk about creating future conservationists, but even beyond that, I think, just creating a generation that has this kind of respect, and maybe they become politicians or business people or, artists or whatever, but they have that core respect for nature, and that carries on through so many other decisions that are made that really can impact everybody. So yeah, it's such a valuable part of the work you're doing. And it sounds like you're also getting into some other things. I'd love for you to talk about your work in terms of studying law and the type of support you want to bring to rangers, and why that's important. I know we were kind of talking earlier about dealing with politicians, and, this is a worldwide problem. I feel like a lot of politicians have that short-term mindset, and a lot of it's about them securing their position and maybe not fully understanding the situation and making short-term decisions that affect everyone, and how hard that can be to push back on and to explain why things are needed to be done certain ways from the people that are on the ground doing the work. But can you talk about, your studies and how you see using this new skill to be able to advocate for rangers and beyond?
Oh yeah, my studies, right? Yes, I am doing BCom law. My first year now is going well. It's amazing. Lots of politics. It's an eye-opener. And everyone was very worried to say, why are you diverting from conservation? Where are you going? Are you leaving us? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not going anywhere. I think you realize that you get frustrated of certain things and you tend to say, maybe it's because of I do not have knowledge of certain things, but I need to empower myself. I need, to do self-action and growth. Maybe I am the problem of not understanding how things are being done. I cannot be complaining about the way things are being done if I do not get to a point of empowering myself. So from the conservation point of view, I mean, I'm very content. I'm very positive that, when it comes to ranger wellness, understanding that what is it that they need, I know exactly what rangers need. But because of the interference of certain political appointments, political decisions, I got to realize that even though as a ranger, when you study BCom law, you will understand that it sets you to be more of a manager who is knowledgeable, first of all, because of there is business management, there is business communication. I was like, maybe certain things we're not communicating better. And you're looking at the law itself to say, there are lots of things that are happening, and I feel that my fellow rangers are not aware of, and maybe they are doing things not knowing that they are wrong. But it's up to me as the leader, someone who wants to see, a generation of rangers that will be proud. Let me go out. Let me use my money and go out for the benefit of these rangers. One will say and get frustrated over maybe the cases, you lodge a case and then it gets to court and then it's like thrown out because of certain information that is not provided. So for me to take this course up, I would like to make sure to everyone and be sure that I am not leaving the ranger sector. If I were to leave it, it will be for the betterment of conservation as well. But I felt as though that I still need to be a voice for rangers. I still need to be that one woman or that one ranger who has faced lots of challenges, lots of sabotage, lots of discrimination, lots of this and that took it upon herself and say, I am not going to allow what happened to me to happen to anyone else, because it's not nice, because it is not something that one will want to go through. Yes, every ranger will have their own share of, victimization and stuff. But I always say, for as long as I am here, for as long as I'm aware of the situation, let me just gear up. Let me be battle ready so as I can be able to be the voice, not to fight, but to be the voice for these rangers. And hence I had to divert a bit from conservation and do law.
Yeah, I mean, I love your passion for learning and education. It sounds like you just, even just talking about starting to take these classes, I can hear it in your voice. And also I'm just so impressed by, and I wonder if some of this, maybe, I'm sure a lot of it came from your family and how they instilled it in you, but the Wildlife College, and going back to Ruben and Martin, just that you have that mentality of taking responsibility for things. And, if there's an area that you don't know, you're like, okay, I'm going to learn this so that I can better do my work. And, going back to the politicians and some of these rules and laws and things, it's easy for people to push you around if you don't understand how some of these things are working. But now with this education, I'm sure you're going to be able to point out the flaws in other people's arguments, or make better arguments, or help change the laws to do things in a better way for the rangers and conservation as a whole. So it's just, really exciting that you're going down this path. And I feel like one of the things I've heard from a lot of rangers and even Ruben himself is like, what one of the things rangers need the most is good legal support, whether that's when they're going to court and facing a poacher, or, laws around how they're supported within the reserves and national parks and protected areas. And yeah, it's just so much work needs to be done in that area in South Africa and all of Africa and around the world for rangers to support them and the work they're doing. So yeah, just want to congratulate you on making those steps. I know it's, you're already doing so much work, but you're willing to take on more to grow. It's pretty special.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, you can't just not be doing anything. Being a ranger, if you don't have anything to do, you opt to do something. So it's good that you opt to do something that will benefit you as well. I remember Yeah, see, 2020, when we lost the ranger due to the lion attack. I mean, it's something, yes, the support is there, but having to look at the frustrations of the rangers that were around the area and me being the corporal of that specific person, may his soul continue to rest in peace. Webers Murray, he was a great dog handler, an amazing one. On top of that, one get to realize, and I think from that point, everybody started to see the other side of me. I mean, I was starting to be a quiet somebody because I had to reflect, on certain things to say, what is it that I could have done? Why didn't I stop the operation? So you start to blame yourself as a leader. And when you do that, then there are lots of things that are coming in your head to say, if I feel this way, how are my fellow rangers feeling, especially those that were on the scene? You think of the way, were they scared when that happened? How are they sleeping at night? And like I said before, you can, like, for me, it was difficult for me to actually break down in front of those guys. I couldn't even cry. I had to be there. I had to, pick up some pieces at some point, but you get home, you cry, you do this. And, having to opt to divert from what you're doing and seek more knowledge on certain things, I think it comes into there to say, did I support them enough? If you did, what were the laws surrounding whatever is it that I did? Was, the action that I took the relevant one, or did I skip some certain things? Will it come back to them? The statement that they gave, were they relevant, or did they say much or less? So you wanting to be better, not only for you, but for them as well, to say, I need to be guiding these guys when they're doing certain things. I need to be there. And instead of, them having to call somebody to represent them, why can't I be there in a way representing them, someone who understands everything that they go through, unlike having to appoint somebody who has never even been in a game reserve, somebody who is going to Google or ask somebody around to say, what does a ranger do? You understand? So it goes to that point to say, am I a leader enough? Will I be able to protect these guys? Will I be able to protect myself? Because by learning now, I'm saying there are lots of things that I picked up. And I remember the time when I called my commanders, like, I don't know how we survived certain things. We've been doing this wrong. Look at the law. What does it say? But because, we got scot-free, we need to be doing it right now. But it's just me talking to my commander, and I'm like saying, but everybody's still doing this. Who am I now on my first year trying to convince everybody that this is not right? But, having to acquire the qualification itself, I hope and trust that I'll be given an opportunity to go around, all areas of ranges in the Northwest Parks Board to actually share what is it that I've learned with other rangers. Let us sit down and debate certain things. Let me be that one voice that will say, things need to happen like this. So I'm hoping.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Reggie, for sharing that. I mean, I'm just really grateful for your vulnerability, and those are extremely tough situations, and I can't even imagine, but just your attitude towards, taking responsibility and learning and growing and advocating for making these situations better and for everyone is really special. And I'm wondering, there's so many challenges Rangers face, and there's so many challenges you face, and I'm sure you haven't even gone into detail on a lot of the tough things that you've had to face over the years. But, what keeps you motivated to get up every day to do this work, this difficult work, and to keep growing and pushing and trying to make the world a better place and work for conservation and support the rangers that you work with? What is that drives you?
Yeah, my family, man. I have a very supportive husband. I'm telling you, and I don't know, maybe it's because of he's also in the management, even though he's not working for conservation or any other, he's in the insurance industry, but he understands the work that I'm doing, like the supports, like from scratch. My kids as well. I'm staying with my kids. I'm residing inside the reserve because my home is very far. So I'm staying with my kids as well here. And every time when I had to give up, I think of this family, that they see me as their hero, as a little hero. My son was saying the other day, because I believe we are into these action movies. And every time when they see Navy guy camouflage, shooting, being a spy. He calls me a spy. He says, Mama, when are you a spy? You are a spy. And I was like, why are you saying that? You look at your uniform and that guy, it means you're also a spy. And I was like, okay, my son, I'm a spy. It's fine. But above all, the love for nature, and my family understands, especially my husband, he understands how much I love this. I said the other time that I don't know how many resignations I've written, but every time when I had to discuss that with him, he would say, yeah, you can resign, it's fine. But every time when I had to take that decision, he always puts me down and says, you cannot be leaving this work because of somebody or because of a decision that was taken over you. You love your job, you love what you're doing. Always just remember that you are here because you chose to be here. The challenges, they will always be there. And if you quit now, you will have been failed. Always reminding me, because the passion for nature, it's something that I preach at home. So he will always say, the way that I see you when there's a poached rhino, you come home and you feel like you have failed. You have failed. I can see that you actually want this job because you want it. Like it's a passion in you. It's not like you're there for money. Yes, money is there. You can, for you to grow and do other things like, financially so. But you cannot just be frustrated by maybe, like I said, whoever from the political interference to say this happened and then you just want to quit. And I strongly believe that, secondly, it will have to be the team itself, the Rhino Protection Unit team. My commander as well, we are a 3-man leadership in this Rhino Protection Unit, two commanders and me, and they're both males and I'm a woman. And as much as I said, Mr. Kock will never treat you like a female ranger, you are a ranger. My commanders, they gave me my space. I belong. This is where I belong. And every time when I had to quit, I said, I will leave one day, yes, if things are not getting better, if I am not growing, if, I'm stagnant, I will leave. But it must not be because of somebody. It must be because of I want a personal growth. I leave because I choose to, not because of somebody. So yeah, that's what keeps me going. And I won't lie, the Game Ranger Association of Africa, hence I'm saying that's my second home, man. Whenever I feel frustrated, Louise will, I will cry chatting with Louise just by WhatsApp. And I will pour in my frustration, and she's always there to listen. Hey, I'm sure when I'm done with her, she'll be like, yo, I need a bottle of wine, not a glass. This lady has issues. and by, I was excited when she said there's someone who wants to interview us, like, yo, you guys don't know what is it that you're doing to us as Rangers, just by you wanting to know what I go through, me having to share my stories with you, you're actually taking a lot of weight on my shoulder, from my shoulder. Like, I'm light, like now, right? I am light. There are some bits of tears coming out, but those are tears of finally there's someone who again wants to listen to my story, so it's actually amazing. People like you, people like the association, people like the Pilanesberg Wildlife Trust, always making sure that, Reggie, whenever you need something for your team, just shout, write an email. I'll make sure that things happen. I'll go around looking for funds. It's actually amazing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that and making me a little emotional here just talking about it too. And it's really special. And I feel extremely honored to be able to share your story and other Rangers' stories. I think it's just so important because I think so few people really know the difficulty of this work and even what you're doing out there. I mean, I think most people just take it for granted that there's national parks and reserves and things like that, but they don't realize the work, the hard work it takes to maintain these areas and keep them vibrant and open to the public and sacred spaces for us to all enjoy from all parts of the world. So yeah, I just want to thank you for the work. And it's so amazing that you have that support from your family and your husband. It sounds like your dad got to be super proud for, not only you taking that responsibility to protect yourself, but then also having a beautiful family and a husband and who supports you in your work. And yeah, and just all of the networks that are supporting you and Rangers. It's really great. I wonder if we could finish with you giving some advice for, let's say, a young Ranger, someone who's starting out, could be a woman, could be a man, that has a passion for this, but also there's so many challenges, whether from just the intensity of the job and the hard work to a mix of, it could be bad policies or, even sometimes bad leaders. But what would you tell them to encourage them to keep pushing and growing, and why the work they're doing is so important? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, hey, I mean, for the ones that are coming in, all I can say is that be you, be yourself, because that's the only thing that will make you survive in this environment. Dedication, determination, and discipline. Come into this ranger world because you want to make a change. Don't come into this ranger world because you like hoping that in 5 years you will be the reserve manager, or you'll be owning a mansion somewhere in the suburbs or in the city or somewhere. Do this and from the bottom of your heart, and then you will enjoy this ranger sector. For my fellow women, my ladies, I'm saying to you that you are at the right space, you are at the right place. This is the right time. You deserve to be here. And I would like to give thanks to all the male, in the field, those that are supporting and still making the ladies aware that they deserve to be here, and not treating them as female rangers, but as rangers, because that's the only way that women can grow in this environment. The support that we give to each other, that's very important. You come into the ranger sector, you must understand that you are no longer using the word I. It will always be we, because if one thing goes wrong, we are together in this thing. It's not a point of you now having to work as an island. If you don't do teamwork, this is not the right work for you. If you do not communicate appropriately, this is not the right work for you. But we are strong. We are great. And to every ranger out there, I am saying to you, going forward, I will say that self-growth is very important, because at times we're looking at our challenges and think that we are done. We think that, we stop here. But it's only when we empower ourselves, it's only when we give ourselves out there, for everyone to recognize that we are here in a positive manner, that we can be recognized, that we are available, that we are, in the space. Discrimination will always be there. Self-doubt will always be there, but let it be there for a certain time. Just stand up and make everybody aware that, yes, I failed, but I'm here now. And I know that I will do better. I can do better. So, when I received the international award that was in last year, I received the international award, if I'm not mistaken, last year, yes. It was presented by the Nova Academia and Arts, Science and Professionals. It was written in Italy or France, or I'm not sure. It was something that I did not expect that, but it was basically for the work that I do that is being seen, basically for the Rhino Protection Unit. When they presented that award and they said to me, you must know that you are the first lady to receive this award. And it was basically for the hard work that you're doing for your rangers, the care that you have for your rangers, and your continued support in making sure that your rangers are protected and are being taken care of. That was a moment, that was really something that brought me back to say, I'm going to start where I left off, because I was ready to give up. With all the frustrations, I was actually ready to give up. And I was like, man, I can no longer do this anymore. I'm expected to be strong, but I am tired of being strong. That was it. As I told my commander and said, Commander, I think I'm just going to back down. I'm just going to be a potato in this whole thing, because I can't be working like this. We can't be as a unit suffering, going through all these frustrations. And there's someone up there who says, what is so special about us? Why do we need to be attended? So that award, and I'll say to Mr. Davide Bombe, is from Italy. When he presented that, I'll tell you, John, that brought back the real Reginah back to the floor. And I was like, I think now it's time for me to just say, yes, there will be frustrations, there will be challenges. And that international award itself, that's what drove me to register for this law, to say, if I can be seen by people outside, why must I be bothered by those inside that feels that I'm being dramatic and I'm just, being loud for nothing? So that itself, hence I'm saying people like you from outside, people like Louise, people like Andrew and others, you guys are the reason why we bounce back to the work that you are expected to be doing. And I thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And thank you for that beautiful message and advice for young Rangers. I think it's so important to hear. And also just that well-deserved award. I think that's another thing that's just so important for people to understand, that we need to recognize the work that these Rangers are doing around the world, because it can be a lonely job with all these challenges out there, often far away from the eye of the world and people, that to be able to recognize this work and, have awards and tell their stories, it's so important, and it makes a huge difference. Like you said, you were on the edge of giving up and moving on, and it kind of reignited that flame and made you realize that this is, for something bigger than just the area you're in. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for all the work you're doing. It's really an honor to have been able to spend so much time with you. I kept you way over the time that we originally set, but I really, really enjoyed this conversation with you, and appreciate you and all the amazing, valuable stories that you've given us. So yeah, thank you so much, Reggie.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John. Don't worry about the time with me. I told you that I'm retiring at 65. So if you want me tomorrow again for 5 hours, I'm all yours. I don't know for what, but for as long as it's something in relation to conservation, I'll always be available. I'm telling you, I'll always be available. You don't know what is it that you have done, but I'm saying to you that just by talking to you, and when you said it's just going to be a chat, I was so relieved. I was so relieved to say, now this is the time where I will be me, having to get just questions, in a informal way, even though it's formal. But thank you, thank Louise, thank the Graph for giving me this opportunity, and my commanders as well for giving me the thumbs up when I requested to attend this interview. They said, go for it. We know that the Rhino Man podcast, it's one of the best. Just go there and give the stories. They never told me to not say anything. Hence, I'm like, okay, this is the moment now. So thank you so much for making time to listen to a female ranger who talks too much, who never who never keeps quiet unless if you say, okay, Reggie, let's do something else. But yeah, I thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for those kind words. And seriously, this has been a pleasure, and I can't wait to share this episode with the world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Rhino Man podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you're excited to see the film succeed, please subscribe and review our podcast on Spotify and iTunes. Then follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Rhino Man the Movie. More details about Rhino Man, the social impact campaign, and future screenings are at rhinomanthemovie.org. To learn more about the Global Conservation Corps and their work, visit globalconservationcorps.org. Sign up for the newsletter and follow GCC on all of the social platforms. If you like this podcast, make sure to subscribe and catch up on GCC's Voices of Nature podcast, where Bob Ludke interviews a wide range of people who have dedicated their lives to making a difference in conservation. A special thanks goes out to Simone Wilson for the music for this podcast. He's the brilliant composer for Rhino Man the Movie. Learn more about his work at simonewilsonmusic.com. Until next time, I'm John Jerko, and this is the Rhino Man Podcast.